Hey everyone, it's Friday. I'm happy to have gotten through the week. So far, the week isn't over yet. What am I talking about? I'm going to talk about a bunch of things today. We're talking about what? We're going to have some good news about how smart we are. And then we're going to talk about how dumb we are as a species. And then I'm going to be talking about Brazil and Richard Barnett. Richard Barnett, the man who broke into Nancy Pelosi's office, put his feet up, stole her mail for some reason. He had a little meltdown. He had a meltdown in court. But before we go any further, let's get a few laughs in with this bit.
Today's world is confusing, and there's too much information for one person to make sense of it all. Which credit card should I pay off first? Is non-fat milk good for me? Who should I vote for? Let's face it, if you can't figure out high-interest milk, then how can you be expected to make political decisions that influence a country of over 325 million people? Well, that's why there's fascism. Fascism is the political, social, and economic system for today's world. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines fascism as a political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts a nation, and often race, above the individual, and that stands for a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, severe economic and social regimentation, and forcible suppression of the opposition. Choose this ideology and life will be easy. Did you ever look at someone who uses really big words and think, I wish those libtards would just disappear? Well, under fascism, your dreams can come true. Under fascism, you won't have to worry about the pesky little things like brown people or atheists, or who in your country is entitled to basic human rights and who is not. Hint, hint, the answer is nobody. Yes, friends, this truly is the final solution you've been looking for. And if you're concerned if this form of authoritarianism will be up to your high standards, don't worry. American fascism will be the best fascism in the world because it's been endorsed by Jesus. So go out and destroy freedom and democracy by getting fascism today. Paid for by the Fascio-Conservative Party, formerly known as the GOP.
Wow, how about that? I like that video. Maybe because I wrote it and, made it basically with Chris Mallard doing the voiceover. Chris did a great job doing that, doing the voiceover for that work. Good morning, everyone. Sammy Jenkins is now a moderator. Hello, Sammy Jenkins. Jess M. It's like we were just talking over on the gram. Jess M. Simply Secular from the West Coast. And Samuel, grade 19K MSW, standing in line for your COVID vaccination. When my girlfriend got her first shot, she noted that there were a lot of people in the area that didn't have a mask on properly. They weren't double masks. They didn't have the double mask on. And then the area was so poorly structured, the physical environment inside the building, so that it created these bottlenecks of people that crowded together. I don't know if it's like that where you are, Samuel, but I'm curious. I am curious about what the sitch is like over there. Digital Bookworm and Brain Bug, how y'all doing today? I am schlepping through today. I am meandering through today, and every once in a while I wonder about people who just tune in during the comedy sketches. Right? Good morning, D Parks. What are you doing? You catching us live? You're usually busy and you have to catch the show afterwards. It's good to see you here. It's good to see you, like live, in a live format. So yeah, we got all kinds of KCA Randy. Glad to see you. Yeah, all kinds of crazy stuff this morning. But to tell you the truth, to pivot awkwardly to the question of the day, my girlfriend sent me this volunteer opportunity. Now, I can't tell you what it is because, it's the internet. And if people realize where I'm actually working and or volunteering, that can be detrimental to the people I'm serving. So even though I'm out of work right now, I'm going to be, after this show is over, I'm going to be calling up and volunteering. And it has to do with people who have disabilities. And so it isn't that, it doesn't take a lot of hours, but it's something I want to get back into the mix. And I don't think I'm good. Since I haven't had my shot yet, I don't want to expose myself too much or to expose others either. So it's a nice little volunteer position. And I'm going to call up later on today and see if they have a slot open for me. And if they do, I will start volunteering and getting myself out of the house, and once again wearing pants on the regular, because that's my new goal, by the way. Lofty goals is to wear pants for several hours a day, because that is indicative of me being productive. Maybe. Awesome. Glad to see you here, D Parks. Have I volunteered before? I used to volunteer at the substance abuse helpline here in Boston. It's over by the Prudential Center, helping people connect with services, basically. Jess M, I used to volunteer working with the local homeless. Good for you. I'm looking into starting up a new thing here without the religious people. Yeah. They can ruin everything. That's what I've heard. Religion ruining everything. It's interesting. Here in the city that I live in Somerville, there are just refrigerators in certain areas of the city where people drop off food and people pick up food. So it's much more fluid than a food pantry that has strict hours. So it's interesting. It seems to be a much more of an efficient model, because people can literally just drop food off. And, there might be a person there checking in on things and keeping things somewhat organized, but there's cold food, there's fresh food. It allows people to have fresh food. So people might drop off carrots or other kinds of fresh produce. Pants, that's right, pants. Tobin Templeman, how you doing? Talking about I'm going to be calling up and asking about a volunteer position after the show's over today. Oh, by the way, I checked in on Rage's channel, and Rage is going to be doing a show at 10:30 today. He's going to be streaming a show about Texas. I think we can all guess about what he's going to be talking about concerning Texas. The dumb effery, that's what it is. I'm looking at my set list today for what we're doing today, what stories we're covering, and I don't think we're really talking that much about Texas. So, oh, hey, there we go. Remember Sammy Jenkins? Andy, just remember, one leg, then the other. Don't try and put both legs in. Yeah. Well, that's yeah. Being not the most coordinated person in the world, I have a system for a lot of mundane activities, like walking, for example. I have a trick. Now, even though I'm really clumsy, I'm gonna let you in on a secret how I have never fallen while intoxicated. And you might say this is stupid, but my ankles are about as thin as my wrists. My wrists are razor thin. My ankles are razor thin. I got this weird hook foot, and I've blown out my ankles a number of times. So now I wear high top sneakers to keep myself stable, basically. But I have never fallen or tripped while drunk. And I've been drunk a lot. Not an egregious amount, but by the time you get to my point in life, been drinking off and on, right? So I've never fallen while, I've never fallen while drinking. I've never drinking while fallen. I've never fallen while drinking. And one of my tricks, and you can tell how intoxicated I am when I do this trick, by the way, is when I do a little bounce in my step. I feel like if I get my center of gravity, if I feel the center of gravity while I'm walking, and I do a little kind of like feeling like I'm treating my legs like shocks, right? Bouncing a little bit so I can feel the vibe. So I get my cerebellum working well, because that's where your balance, I guess, is based, right? Your cerebellum down here. So that's my trick. A little bounce to my step while I'm intoxicated keeps me stable. Hey, Wild Eden. How you doing? Oh, that's interesting, Jess M. We have a few people there that have cabinets like that, but the health department always shuts it down. Yeah, here in Somerville, the city, well, once again, very, very liberal area, seems to either look the other way, and so people just do it. So, oh, thanks for the tip. It is an important, yeah, because people do get effed up for just, because you always hear about driving while drunk. But what you don't hear about is walking while drunk, because people get effed up just for walking while drunk. And it's underreported. That's what it is. It's underreported. All right, so what are we doing? Let's do jokes. You want to do some joke? I wrote a joke last night. We all know, most of us know by this time, that President Biden called people who are anti-maskers, like Greg Abbott from Texas, right? Who wants to just get rid of the mask mandate. Same thing in Mississippi. And President Biden called them Neanderthals, right? So, and I've been working on this, on a joke about Neanderthals and conservative Republicans for a couple of hours yesterday, and then it just appeared to me once I got out of the shower. And here's my humble joke about conservative Neanderthals. A lot of conservative Republican Neanderthals secretly crave Homo erectus. It's a simple little joke, but I was pretty happy with it, to tell you the truth. I wasn't unhappy with it. So I have a buddy on Twitter, Ken Reed. He's been on the show, comedian, legend in the Boston area. We'll bring it up to legend, but he liked it. And we talked about it, message back and forth about it. But I was pretty happy with that joke, to tell you the truth. Oh, it's the simple things. It's the simple things, crafting a decent joke. Dude, I saw your response. It was epic too. You want to share it with the crowd, Brainbug? Right. It's the little things in the pandemic. Remember Sammy Jenkins? It's just, wow, I just phased out. I just completely phased out there for a minute. Yeah, this camera is not the best in terms of focusing. But yeah, I was abnormally happy with that joke. Well, you raise an interesting point, Homo. Wild Eden. I was going to go with another Homo erectus joke there. If Neanderthals weren't destroyed by Homo sapiens, we'd be a peaceful and happy species. Yeah. We could stand a less violent tendencies here in our species, right? All right, let's go for the next joke. Simply secular. Romans crucifying Jesus. Does this look level to you? Yeah, you're nailing it. Sweet. All right, what's the next joke? What are we doing for the next joke? Oh, yeah. You know where this is from, chat and viewers and lurkers. The vibe at all the restaurants reopening. Yep, that's the vibe. A lot of people. The restrictions are open. The restrictions are getting less and less, and people are like, I want to go to the restaurants, but maybe you don't want to be those guys. Of course, that is from the classic 1977 movie Alien. No one can hear you scream in space. I believe that was the tagline. No one can hear you scream if you have COVID filling up in your lungs, or phlegm or fluid and stuff like that. Google deleted it. How is that possible? Oh, so the joke. Let me see if I can do this joke justice here. So I put this on the gram. A lot of conservative Republican Neanderthals secretly crave Homo erectus, and Brainbug cleverly placed down, if they're not careful, there's going to be a Homo habilis. I hope I did that justice, Brainbug. I hope they did. All right. Let's go with one more. Let's go with one more joke. Another geeky joke. This was a pretty geeky joke, right? You have to kind of know what the deal is with the movie Alien. But here's the next joke, which is another kind of science fiction joke. The last image before the Mars rover went online. Oh no. That's it. You're a Star Wars fan. Of course, most of us have been exposed to Star Wars at this point. So we know. We know the joke, right? So that's our jokes for the morning. Oh, educationally, the world has gone to zero. It's almost as if the system that we have incentivizes stupidity. Is that going to be the first story? Actually, all right, everyone. It's funny and sad. So this is a situation of good news, bad news. This is a situation of look at how smart some of us are, and then there's going to be a counterpoint that is that we're not going to learn from this knowledge. That some of us have the knowledge, and just knowing it may not be enough. As an extent descendant of Homo habilis, I'm offended that YouTube is offended by our binomial nomenclature. Indeed, sir, indeed. Oh, it's all gone. Yeah, from the transmission of the last row. Well, that was, scavengers, right? From Tatooine. All right, the first news story descriptions are in, the links are in the descriptions. Let's go with the first story. Good news from The Guardian. A few right-wing super spreaders fueled a bulk of election falsehoods, study says. Tackling the most powerful social media accounts, such as Donald Trump's, could be key to halting false narratives, researchers say. A lot of the time, science, we all know this, science challenges our intuitions, doesn't it? Right? The Earth is round. The Earth doesn't appear to be round, but it's round. Our intuitions are commonly wrong. But however, in this area about how fake news spreads, how fake news goes viral, this study does seem to confirm our intuitions by saying that a few super spreaders fueled a bulk of the election falsehoods. Let's take a look at the study. Let's see. A few right-wing super spreaders on social media were responsible for the bulk of election misfortune in the run-up to the Capitol attack, according to a new study that also sheds light on the staggering reach of falsehoods pushed by Donald Trump. A report from the Election Integrity Partnership, EIP, a group that includes Stanford and the University of Washington, analyzed social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, during several months before and after the 2020 elections. It found that super spreaders responsible for the most frequent and the most impactful misinformation campaigns, including Trump and his two elder sons, as well as other members of the Trump administration and the right-wing media. Wow, who would have thought? Who would have thought they would be the ones who were mainly responsible for spreading misinformation? But wait, there's more. The study's authors and other researchers say the findings underscore the need to disable such accounts to stop the spread of misinformation. If there is a limit to how much content moderators can tackle, have them focus on reducing harm by eliminating the most effective spreaders of misinformation, said Lisa Fazio, an assistant professor at Vanderbilt University who studies the psychology of fake news, was not involved in EIP report. Rather than trying to enforce the rules equally across users, focus enforcement on the most powerful accounts. So just to put this, just to highlight it, if a person has like 50,000 or 1 million followers on YouTube or Twitter, maybe you should be focusing on those people as against to focusing in on someone who only has 2,260 subscribers on YouTube. That's me, by the way. So maybe instead of focusing on someone like me, maybe you should focus on someone who is a super spreader of misinformation, like the Trump family, like Fox News. Maybe. See, I had to make it about me because I'm a narcissist. I'm sorry. There's a little bit more. Out of the 21 top offenders, 15 were verified Twitter accounts, which are particularly dangerous when it comes to election misinformation. The study said the repeat spreaders responsible for the most widely spread misinformation included Eric Trump, Donald Trump Jr., and influencers like James O'Keefe, Tim Pool, Elijah Riot, what a name, Elijah Riot, and Sidney Powell. All 21 of the top accounts for misinformation leaned right-wing, the study showed. Wow, who would think? There are wingers on Twitter and social media spreading information, and they are the ones most responsible for spreading conspiracy theories and lies about the election. I'm shocked. I'm shocked, I tell you. Like I said, many times science works against our base intuitions, and other times it completely confirms what our intuitions tell us, that large accounts that spread information happen to be responsible for most of the misinformation spread. So you would think that the easy thing to do, chat, observers, lurkers everywhere, that the easy thing to do is just to put the hammer on these large accounts, right? It would just be easy just to target those large accounts and ban them, limit their access to social media. They're irresponsible, right? They are irresponsible. And we all know this. We all know this, that if you have a larger account, you're able to get away with a lot more stuff than smaller accounts, right? That's pretty straightforward. Brain bug. When can we move into the post-truth era anyway? I'm just so tired. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen anytime soon. Digital bookworm in my Marjorie Truth Green voice. Truth is hard. Lying is easy. That wasn't my Marjorie Taylor Greene voice, but that's, yeah. No, D Parks, thank you very much. Yes, I have super chats. Even though this video will probably be demonetized by YouTube, I still get the benefits of super chats in case you choose to throw me a couple of shekels, a couple of pounds, a couple of euros. It is greatly appreciated. Well, I try, D Parks. I try to do some of the sense that's common. I try. It's my Sisyphusian task. That's what it is. You could rephrase that into, if you have a revenue generating account, you can get away with more than a non-revenue generating account. Well, simply secular thank you, because that was a setup, by the way. There are times that I will set things up because ultimately I would like to do an old-timey vaudevillian act where I would just tour with someone and I would just be the straight man. I wouldn't be the person. I would just feed the lines to other people. All tossing a coin to the Witcher. The Witcher. I see what you did there. Yeah. But basically, if the platform generates income, I mean, if you generate income for the platform, then it's highly unlikely that the platform is going to kick you off. The Witcher, right? Yeah, I saw the first season, and I'm gonna share something with you all. I'm a big Elric of Meltdown. I believe I'm pronouncing it correctly. Michael Moorcock, anti-hero. Elric. He had I think 7 books and a bunch of fan fiction, a bunch of comics and graphic novels. Big fan of that. Lee's Banner. Why, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate the help, everyone. Yep. Slogging it through. That's what I'm doing. If someone uses truth in their name or description, chances are they are lying to you. Well, yes, you know that Fox News is fair and biased. Oh, was that a Freudian slip? Fair and biased? Yeah, it's fair. It's fair news. That's what Fox News tells you. Elric, big fan of Elric. Yeah, man who kills gods. Man who kills gods. That's who Elric of Meltdown is, right? Yeah. All right. So we just talked about how. Oh, really? This is interesting. $1 equals 3.32 Israeli shekels. Very good. I believe shekels, if we're going to do a little diversion about shekels, I believe shekels were a Persian Empire, originally. It was a Persian Empire coin, a shekel. Got adopted, of course, by Israel. So yeah, so I'm diverting. Let me go back. Let me revert to the story that we're talking about. So this new study, as reported by The Guardian, the best way to cut down on misinformation online is to constrain, rage, is to constrain large accounts. seems like an easy fix. Once again, I just want to say, what we're facing is not a question of wisdom. It is a matter of virtue. It isn't that we don't know what to do. It's a question of whether or not we have the will to do it. It is as simple as that. And this next story actually proves my point. Breathe, Andy. Just breathe. Just breathe. Okay, so this was the first story. Super spreaders, a few super spreaders, right-wing super spreaders fueled a bulk of election falsehoods. And this story from the BBC, YouTube to lift ban if violence threat falls. They're going to lift the Trump ban, everyone. They're going to lift the Trump. And if they're saying it's going to lift the Trump ban if the violence threat falls, we all know that that's just preparing us to have Trump back on YouTube. That's what it means. They're preparing us. Okay, let's go through the story. YouTube's chief executive has said the platform may lift Donald Trump's suspension if the threat of real-world violence decreases. Susan Wojcik, I'm going to go with that, said the company will look at government warnings and violent rhetoric to determine when it's safe to lift the suspension. The idea that they're thinking about lifting the suspension is insane. It's insane. You know, it makes me think of J.R.R. Tolkien and about how Sauron, you know, he was captured by the good guys, and then he's like, I'm not a bad guy. I was just under undue influence by Morgoth, right? So they're like, all right, you're not a bad guy anymore. And now he's like, hey, look at me. I'm like a super bad guy. I'm all right. Once again, a little tangent, but let's go back to the story. Okay. Following the Capitol Hill on the 6th of January that left 5 dead, Mr. Trump's account was suspended. YouTube said he had violated their incitement of violence policy. Quote, it's pretty clear that right now where we stand, that there is still that elevated risk of violence, the YouTube chief said during an interview with the Atlantic Council on Thursday. Ms. Wojcik, the CEO clarified that the former president's conduct had not led to a full ban on the platform. The company operates under a 3-strike program, and an account must receive 3 strikes to be permanently removed. The suspension in January was Mr. Trump's first strike. All right. I can't believe I have to say this, but if your first strike was causing the death of fellow Americans, or anyone, if your first strike was causing death and destruction, there should just be a 1-strike rule. I don't even know. I don't even know why that should be stated, why that needs to be stated. But if your 1 strike means that you incited a mass riot, which killed people, maybe you should just have 1 strike. Next bit of the story. Rudy Giuliani, the former personal attorney to Mr. Trump, received his 2nd strike earlier this week for claiming the 2020 presidential was stolen. Let me add this. Maybe, possibly, perhaps, that if you helped the person that incited the riot, if you were complicit, then maybe you should only get 1 strike too. Maybe you should just get 1 strike and never be allowed on the platform again and be relegated to sock puppet accounts. All right, typically a first strike results in a 7-day suspension of an account, but Mr. Trump has been prolonged due to continued risk of violence. Wow, that's tough. Good job, YouTube, not. After a large group of pro-Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol building on January 6th, the former president was deplatformed across many social media outlets. Mr. Trump was banned from Twitter and suspended from Facebook. Facebook's oversight committee is currently looking at whether the suspension should be made permanent. However, it's not clear when they will rule. I'm just going to go to the chat because I need to center myself right now. Hey, Blazing, thank you very much. I did all the very nice. Getting some of the Denmark dollars. Thank you very much. And Brainbud. 499, thank you. Where did Trump get sworn in? I heard it's going to be on the 20th now. I heard some people have kicked it down the road to the 20th. Well, maybe the Ides of March. I heard one day there's going to be like, I think it's March 15th. Is that the Ides of March? I think it is. Doing a lot better on the mental front. Good for you, Rage. Good for you. The physical sucks though. Well, I'm sure you're still going through the battle about the cigarettes and the nicotine. So keep up the good fight, man. Keep up the good fight. Holy Spanner. Everything about Judaism is of Persian origin. Well played, sir. Well played. That is correct. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh, Deep Parks. I've heard it's now April 1st. Oh, that will be a great April. That's my divorce day, by the way. I don't want to keep harping on my upcoming 7th anniversary of my divorce day when I walked out of court, a free and happy man. But yes, Denmark dollars. I know, right? I have to tell you, us Americans, us staters, United Staters. Oh, Deep Parks, that was one of my bits. That was one of my comedy bits right there. One of my satirical posts. It went. Snopes reported it. That's right. Snopes was talking about that. Well, yes. Maybe divorce in the USA at the same time. So let me just say this. It's about the halftime show. We should be doing. Oh, that's very interesting. Wow, Deep Parks. That's almost as good a story. I mean, that's a better story than mine. My divorce date was the same as my wedding date. Very nice. MC Fractal. MC Fractal is great. MC Fractal, let's see if I can make you a moderator right now. I'm sorry. I've known MC Fractal for years at this point, and the idea that I haven't made him a moderator at this point is a crime. It's a crime. But of course, I can't figure anything out because I'm technologically incompetent at this point. And I don't know how to. All right, so I'm going to do that at a later point, MC Fractal. I'm going to put you down as moderator. Because I've known, hey, here we go. I just figured this out. And add moderator. Very good. So MC Fractal is now a moderator. Oh, no. It's just a joke. It was a satirical post I wrote. A satirical post. See, on the blog, I do a lot of satirical posts. Basically, I don't have to explain satire to everyone here, right? Because you basically know the definitions, operational definitions of satire. So there are times that my blog work does bleed into this channel here. Like when the USA Today reported on my Ted Cruz story about losing all of his Marriott Award points. They keep telling me I can't get a divorce. They claim I have to get married first. But I say I should have the right to preemptively divorce people. I like that idea. And there should be like greeting cards for that too. There should be cards, like Hallmark cards, about a preemptive divorce. Well, this is true, D Parks. If you're not living in a way that would get you burned as a witch, are you even living? I would say not. I would say not. All right, halftime show. Halftime show, we're going to have a little laughs. We're going to have a couple of chuckles. Well, some of them are, well, thank you, Digital Bookworm. I try to cut it to the quick. Today's poem I'm going to write after I'm done with the show. It's, I don't know if it's going to be popular, but I think it's going to be funny at least. All right, halftime show. Let's do that, right?
Texas is a strange place. I went to Dallas recently, and I felt like that's the kind of place where that's where I decided that we as Americans don't deserve health care. We need it, but we don't deserve it. Like, you can have brisket for breakfast in Texas. That shit, I saw on a legit menu, I saw like ham salad. That we deserve health? No, we don't deserve. We need it, but we don't deserve health care.
Funny comedian makes the observation that a lot of Americans, a lot of us just try to drive our health into the curb, off the road. We don't deserve health care. We need health care, but we don't deserve it because of the way that we treat our bodies. All right. So what Oh, Richard. Oh, no, we have to talk about Brazil. We have to talk about Brazil before we start talking about our friend Richard Barnett. You know, we talked yesterday about this Brazil variant of COVID, of the coronavirus, and we just touched on the president of Brazil, and he's in the mold of Trump in a lot of ways, Bolsonaro. And you think to yourself, well, sure, there's a crisis, healthcare crisis right now in Brazil, but how bad can this guy Bolsonaro be? How much can he undermine the public faith and trust in healthcare? How much can he be really blaming victims of this horrible virus? Here we go. COVID. Bolsonaro tells Brazilians to stop whining as deaths spike. President, Bolsonaro has told Brazilians to stop whining about COVID-19 as he criticized measures to curb the virus instead, despite a surge in cases and deaths. So he is telling people stop whining, while he is undermining the effort to get the virus under control. Wow, sounds very Trumpian to me, quite Trumpian. His comments came a day after Brazil saw a record rise in deaths over a 24-hour period. Brazil is facing its worst phase of the pandemic yet, leaving its healthcare system in crisis. In response, some cities and states have imposed their own restrictions. Brazil's health ministry says more than 260,000 people have died with COVID-19, the second highest pandemic death toll in the world after the US. The explosion in cases have been attributed to the spread of highly contagious variant of the virus thought to have originated in the Amazon city of Manaus. Like we talked about this yesterday. Yet on Thursday, Mr. Bolsonaro continued to downplay the threat posed by the virus. Stop whining. How long are you going to keep crying about it? Mr. Bolsonaro said at the event. How much longer will you stay at home and close everything? No one can stand it anymore. We regret the deaths again, but we need a solution. Stop whining. Stop whining. Stop whining. How long are you going to keep crying about it? The comments were met with a furious response from Sao Paulo's governor, Doria. I'm just going to say the last name. João Doria, who has been particularly scathing of Bolsonaro's handling of the pandemic. Speaking to the BBC, he called President Bolsonaro a crazy guy for attacking governors and mayors who want to buy vaccines and help the country end this pandemic. How can we face the problem seeing people die every day? The health system in Brazil is on the verge of collapse, Mr. Doria said. But Bolsonaro is just telling people to stop whining, stop complaining. Negative helping. That's what it is. My brother lives in Slovenia and mentioned once that the body is dealing with its own mini Trumpoloni. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, MC Fractal. Yeah. Well, this is true, Wiley, and I have to say the pandemic has shown us all who the nutters and powers are. Yeah, every single, whenever you look at it, this has changed the way how I see horror movies. This has changed the way how I see zombie movies, because you look at people in thrillers, in horror movies, zombie movies, and you're saying to yourself, people wouldn't be this stupid. Oh no. We are discovering whole new realms of stupid and meanness during this pandemic. Hey, Rage is going to be on a show at 10:30. Kalu Calais. Oh, thumbs up, Dr. Mordecai. Yeah, I always forget to ask people to do thumbs up because I'm always in the zone here just ranting. That's what my problem is that I'm too ranty, maybe. The Rage, yeah, he's a good guy. Is Bolsonaro announcing he's running for governor in Texas? He's that level. He's that level. He's like Texas level of chief executive. That's what he is. Well, that is probably true. He's hoping to kill off the indigenous people so they can they can just make new farmland in the Amazon. Yep, blazing. Yep. All of that is true. Scott Duke is somewhere in the chat. Hey, Scott Duke. All right. So worst apocalypse yet. I'll say this, worst apocalypse ever within my lifetime, at least. But the play's not ended yet. So that's it. So Bolsonaro in Texas, Brazil, it's in Brazil, I know, is telling people, hey, stop your whining about all the deaths. All the deaths. Scott Duke, very good. All right, so we're going to pivot to the next story. Richard Barnett, we all know Mr. Barnett. He was the person when on January 6th, broke into the Capitol building, got into Speaker Pelosi's office, put his feet up on her desk, stole some of her mail, I guess as a memento, took his own, took a few selfies, had a few pics taken, spread it all around the internet. He is basically the poster child for adults, Trumpers acting badly, and he had a meltdown. He had a meltdown in court the other day, and I'm sorry, I got to go back to the chat. You guys, just funny. Everything is bigger in Texas, even the ineptitude. True enough, and simply secular. The most frustrating, slowest apocalypse ever. Glacial-like. All right, we're going to watch Rachel Maddow talk about or report on the Richard Barnett losing his crap in court. Let's check this out.
My 6-year-old son Dylan was murdered at St. Luke's School.
Well, that's an ad, and I'm going to remove that temporarily while the ad is running. And that's probably causing feedback for you guys. And so now it's muted, and now the real show. Now it's going to be, wow, this is skipping ad.
Dr. Kessler, last night we learned, this is not, I'm not asking you a politics question here, because all
right, so that's just the wrong video too. Wow, you get to see Andy wrestle with technology like several times today.
My advice for small businesses.
This is like gripping. This is why I need a producer, by the way. This is why I need a producer. If you want to know why I need a producer, this is an example right here. An engineer.
Of the screaming and yelling at this court hearing, but I can tell you with confidence there was definitely screaming and yelling. Now, we just got the transcript tonight. Because reporters were able to listen in while this thing happened live, we know the tone in which the words in the transcript were uttered. The Washington Post and the New York Times simply called it a, quote, tantrum today. USA Today described the defendant in this case as, quote, erupting. The Daily Beast described him as, quote, losing it in court. And I'm not a good actor, so I'm not sure how much emotion I can accurately convey here, but here it is, the judge. Mr. Barnett, are you with us? You may be muted, Mr. Barnett. We may have lost Mr. Barnett, who is obviously the reason we're all here this morning. Pause. The courtroom deputy, Mr. Barnett. The defendant, Mr. Barnett. Yes. The judge. Thank you for joining us again. Good morning, Mr. Barnett. This is Judge Cooper. Can you hear me? The defendant. Good morning. Yes, I can hear you. The judge. Okay, just like last time, we would obviously usually do this in person, but due to the pandemic, we are proceeding remotely. Are you okay with proceeding via telephone this morning? The defendant. Yes, that's fine. The judge. Okay, very well. If you could mute your phone now, unless we need to hear from you, that would be very helpful. The defendant. Okay, I'll mute now. The judge. Thank you, sir. And the judge turns to the prosecutors. He says, all right, Ms. Dorman or Ms. McLean, where are we? One of the prosecutors, Nicole McLean, says, yes, Your Honor. And so at this time, I believe there's going to be a change in counsel in this case, which means the defendant is actually changing his defense lawyers, and they're in the middle of that process happening. The prosecutor says, I had sent over to the defense lawyer a proposed protective order in this case for discovery that he was going to share with his client and speak to his client about. We've provided some discovery informally in this case, specifically through the U.S. Attorney's Office in Arkansas. The government is still undertaking this massive effort to gather discovery in this and all of the Capitol riot cases. What the government is going to ask for today is for a continuance of 60 days to gather discovery, to discuss the protective order, and for the new attorneys in the case to get up to speed on what has been done. The judge. And the last time we were here, no plea offer had been extended. Is that still the case? Prosecutor. That is still the case, Your Honor, and that is still the case in all January 6th cases. Meaning no January 6th arrestees have been offered a plea deal by the government. The judge says, okay, just out of curiosity, what is the government's estimate of the guidelines range for the dangerous weapons charge here? Have you done that calculation? There's been some discussion between the judge and the prosecutors on how much time in prison the defendant might ultimately be looking at.
This is magic.
Convicted on the dangerous weapons charge he is facing. That resolves like this. Prosecutor. For the 1512, it's going to be the highest offense level here. I believe it's going to be a base offense level of 14. The maximum sentence on the 1512 is a 20-year term of imprisonment and a $250,000 fine. Judge. Okay. All right. Just trying to figure out what we've got. He turns to defense counsel. Counsel, May 4th at 11 a.m. Does that work for you? Defense lawyer. One moment, Your Honor. Yes, that works for me. Yes. And then up pops the defendant. He unmutes himself. Defendant, I'm sorry. I need a sidebar with my counsel. That doesn't work for me. I need a sidebar. A different defense lawyer stands up. Richard, this is Stephen Metcalf. The defendant, I need a sidebar. I need a sidebar. Defense lawyer Stephen Metcalf. Listen, Richard, this that we're talking about now, this is a date wholly separate from any application for bail for you. So just hang tight. We're going to hash out everything we need to with the court right now. There are a couple of other issues that we need to address, and we will speak to you as soon as you give us a call back today. Did you hear me? The defendant. Yes, I understand, but I've been here a long time. I've been here a month, and they're going to set it for another month, and everybody else is getting out. Defense lawyer. Richard. The judge. Okay. Defense lawyer. I'm asking you to just hang tight. We're going to address a couple of other matters. The defendant, I don't agree with this date. It's not fair. First defense lawyer. So, Mr. Barnett, the judge, all right, counsel, let me cut this short, okay? The defendant, I'm on the phone. I can't have a sidebar with my attorney. It's not fair. The judge, counsel, why don't we take 5? The defendant, we need to start doing this in person. Remember, the defendant just consented to doing this not in person when the judge asked him directly at the start of the hearing, but now he says, we need to start doing this in person. The judge, Mr. Barnett, hold on, sir. We're going to take 5. And one of you, meaning one of the defense lawyers, you can step into another room and contact Mr. Barnett. Is that possible? The defendant, it is possible. We've done it before. The judge, hold on, sir. Hold on. Here's what we're going to do. The court will set a date for a further status hearing on May 4th at 11 a.m. The defendant, oh no, sir. The judge, in the meantime, sir, if you're counsel, the defendant, I have the phone number right here. He can call me. He's done this before. I've got a phone number right here. He can call me on. The defense lawyer, judge, I'll take the number. Judge, all right, take the number, speak to your client, and then we'll reconvene in 5 minutes. The defendant, the government keeps dragging this out and letting everybody else out. Defense lawyer, Richard, meaning the defendant, Richard, I'm advising you to just stop. The judge, counsel, step out and call your client. The court goes into recess. Now, it is not reflected in the official transcript that we have obtained, but one reporter who was monitoring the hearing today for the Daily Beast swears that at that point in the proceeding, as they were going to recess, the defendant also screamed, forgive me, quote, this has been a bunch of crap. The defendant in question here is this fellow who you will recognize from the immediate aftermath of the January 6th attack. This is the guy who mugged for the camera with his feet up on the desk in Nancy Pelosi's office.
All right, there we go. You know, maybe You know, he seemed to start freaking out when he heard the 20 years possible sentence he was going to get and the $250,000 fine. Was it me, or was that really the trigger point that he just started losing his crap? Because that's what it sounds like to me, is that he's probably heard it before, or he knew it was going to happen, but then he heard it in court and he's like, oh no, this could actually happen. I could spend the rest of my life in jail. But he doesn't have 20 years on him. This guy, Richard Barnett, he does not have 20 years in him, and he would be spending the rest of his life in jail. And he doesn't have $250,000. I'm just guessing he doesn't have $250,000 for that fine. That's right. Yeah, she's got some chops. She's got some acting chops too, right? Richard Barnett, 20 years in prison. That's possible. Yeah, okay. So he's probably not going to get 20 years in prison, but it would be pretty sweet, to tell you the truth. And Digital Bookworm pointed this out. He wants a vacation in Mexico. Yeah, he wants out. He wants out. Oh, F that guy is right, Lee Spanner. F that guy. And oh yeah. He's not sorry for what he's done. He's sorry he got caught. He's like ranting against the system. Because what did he really do wrong? What did he really do wrong? He just went into the Capitol building and, you know, crashed into someone's office and vandalized and terrorized. Oh, well, that's right, Scott Duke. That kind of guy. He's been a protected bigot all of his life. He's been a protected bigot all of his life, and he just thought he could get away with it. He just thought he could get away with it. He thought he could virtue signal to his other MAGA friends, to his other Neanderthals. He could virtue signal with his selfies, with his pictures. And guess what? There's still, or he thought he was going to get, he's going to get let off the hook by President Trump. Maybe he just thought he'd be freed by Trump. Who knows? Oh, they just burn me. We need to make an example of those people. We need to make an example of their leaders too. We do. You know, as we've gone over this before, that the National Socialists in Germany tried to do their own revolution in 1923, the BillPhil Putsch, which failed. A few of the foot soldiers of the National Socialists got shot. Hitler was slapped on the wrist and put into prison for maybe 3 months, maybe months or 3 months, where he wrote his book Mein Kampf. He has to go to jail for a long time. He needs to go to jail. Well, you know what's interesting, Rage, and the proof will be in the tasting of the pudding, won't it? Right now, you can see how pro-Trumpers would win primaries in the mid-years. They would win the Republican primaries, but would they win general elections? That's going to be the rub, because under normal circumstances, and most of us know this, we would expect Republicans to gain seats in the House and the Senate because the Democrats won the presidency. That's how it usually works, everyone. If one party wins the presidency, the next party in the mid-years, the other party wins seats in the House and the Senate. That may not happen this year because independents and Democrats, they're so energized and sick of these people that the Republicans will elect lunatics in their primaries and will completely implode in the general election. That's what could happen, possibly happen. D. Parks, dropping some truth down right there. You can graph that out. Well, yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah, I'm not against that idea. Well, they are splitting. They are splitters faster than the Dems. That's true. Well, this is true, MC Fractal. I think at least one problem with the far right is that they never police their own, leading to so many grifters and a-holes in the movement. That's true. If anything, anything with the right is that they incentivize a-holes and grifters in their movement. They incentivize the worst aspects of human nature. And those are the people that have become leaders in the movement. The range investigators are looking at collusion and communication with organized rioters. If that comes out to be true, the Republicans, yep. That is true. Wow, what? It's been 55 minutes so far on the show. It's hard to believe. We've covered so many stories today. So many stories. Super spreaders. It turns out that only a handful of super spreaders online are responsible for spreading the vast majority of misinformation. YouTube is reconsidering its ban on Donald J. Trump. Bolsonaro, what a jerk. Bolsonaro is telling people in Brazil to suck it up and stop whining. And of course, our friend Richard Barnett, meltdown in court. I'm going to leave you. We're going to put a bow on it in a minute. But with all this anger, with all of this, I cannot believe this is happening. I want to leave you with something. They'll put a smile on your face, right? They'll make you feel better about things. What are we going to do? Oh, this isn't a video, but I like it. And I think you all might like it. It's a corgi and a swan. They're probably not being friends, but look at the corgi and the swan. How can that not put how can that not put a smile on your face? It's hilarious. With his little legs and his mouth and his ears. And he has a tail too. Not a lot of corgis have tails. I like corgis with tails as well as not tails. And that swan. Look out, corgi. That swan means business. Swans can be very territorial and aggressive. I think my girlfriend was attacked by a swan one time. But yeah, so, hopefully that'll put a smile on your face. Hopefully that'll put a smile on your face. Corgis, right, Wild Eden? Corgis are awesome, right? Great. So happy to be here. D Parks, it's great having you here today, too. This has been a lot of fun. This is your favorite hour? Well, I have to think about it. Yeah, this is probably my favorite hour of the day, too. I'm not going to lie to you. So let me just pivot a bit about what I'm doing on Sunday night. I do a late show with my buddy Jack Maturko, Satanist, member of the Satanic Temple. He's a satanic, wonderful co-host. And we do a show Sunday nights at 10:30 p.m. And we had Tom McDonald on, the animator. He has this little YouTube. Oh, Samuel. Why, thank you. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for everyone. And I want to just say thank you for everyone, too. It is greatly appreciated. But Thomas McDonald's coming on the channel. Oh, he is not, but we're doing this kind of like film marathon. We're going to be showing a bunch of his shorts. He does some off-the-wall humor. He's gotten at least one of his shorts on Comedy Central on Adult Swim. On Adult Swim, because it's that level of crazy humor. I thought I would share at least one of his short videos, his odd videos. And, if you like the humor, you might want to check in with Jack and me on Sunday night at 10:30 p.m. Like I said, this is some off-the-wall stuff. I thought I'd share this little bit with you. Let me see if I can share my screen again with only being somewhat incompetent as against being super incompetent like I was before. Share the screen. And let's see what's happening. All right, here it comes. And
hey, Phil, can you come help peel the potatoes? No, I will not. I will not help you peel the potatoes. I don't want to be rude, but I don't want to help you a lot. Are you kidding me, Phil? Hey, my puppies are sore, and I just kicked them up. And if I had to stand up now, it would thoroughly suck. Phil, I'm going to stab you with a fork if you don't come help me. You could stab me with a fork. You could speak to me roughly like you are from New York, but I will not peel the potatoes because my puppies are howling like that weird singer you like, Bjork. Well, I'm sorry. I listen to music that isn't white guys playing the blues. Honey, remember to use the meat thermometer. You've always struggled with pork, and if you overcook the meat tonight, I'll take you to court. Fork stab. Ow! What was that for? When I told you I was going to stab you with a fork, you idiot. Well, did it ever occur to you I was busy thinking of fun rhymes? Fork stab. Ow! Fine, I'll help. Just please don't speak to me roughly, like you are from New York. Little nightmare.
So Jack and I, we're going to be going through a bunch of his videos and just laughing and sharing about and sharing stories, sharing a few laughs. And hey, Scott, dude, thanks a lot. Once again, everyone who's contributed. This makes the job easier because I do treat this like a job. I treat the blogging like the job. I've treated what I do here like a job when I haven't gotten paid. I will treat what I do here like it's a job with the money, which I appreciate. It's great. I appreciate all the help here. And I do. This is me being socially awkward thanking people, by the way. So everyone, on Saturday, I'm going to be reading some mean comments from the YouTube channel and my blog, responding, typing out, responding. And on Sunday, we're doing this whole weird video thing at 10:30 on The Late Show with Jack Materko here. Yeah, he's got an interesting style. Like I said, he was on our old show, Naked Diner Podcast. Really sweet guy, really funny guy, really talented guy, and underrated too. I'm glad one of his shorts did get on Adult Swim. And hopefully he'll get a lot more of his material out there too. All right, everyone. This is the show. This is the morning show. If nothing else, if we don't see each other on Saturday or Sunday, hopefully we'll hang out together on Monday at 9 a.m. and we'll go do this crazy thing all over again and share some laughs and share some news stories. Be good. Be strong. Thanks again for all your help. I do appreciate it. Bye. Wrong button, Andy. Oh, wait. I'm gonna do an epic pose with my anarchist pamphlet here I have kicking around. Reading